Welcome to More Than a Few Words, a marketing conversation for business owners. This is your host, Lorraine Ball, with another What Went Wrong. Joining me today is Tracy Brinkman. And Tracy is a business success coach. He's a podcast creator, a podcast host, and podcast production company owner. And he realizes that life isn't fair and participation awards do not truly feed your family or drive you to succeed. He is the host of the Driven Dark Horse Entrepreneur podcast, and he's got a story to share. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Lorraine. I appreciate being here.
I am so excited to have you. I really enjoyed being a guest on your show, and I love putting you in my guest chair.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm hopeful. I know
Uh,
we had a blast over on my side.
we did. And one of the things that we were talking about, and you mentioned that there was a goal setting workshop that you thought was going to be a great success.
Yeah. This was one of my early side hustles during my mid corporate career time that started my transition out. And I was a big. This we're talking about the era when Anthony and Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and all the big names were doing all those cycles around all the big cities, and I was at all of them. And I learned all these amazing things, and I enacted all these amazing things, and people started going, "How are you seeing all this great success?" And so I started telling them, and then they were like, wanted coaching, and then they wanted more. And for me, it was all around goal setting. So I kept getting this feedback that, oh, this is amazing. This is amazing. So I took the time and sat down and I wrote this amazing goal setting seminar. Da, da, da. Because everyone else is doing it and they're making all kinds of money, right? Why can't I? And I put it out there, and I'm giving you the Cliff Notes version. We can dig wherever you want to dig. I put it out there, and hopefully you can hear this. Well, I won't. I did. It was crickets just chirping off in the distance, and I was like, "What went wrong?"
Mm.
And for me, like you mentioned this on my show, hindsight is always 20/20. You don't even need glasses when it comes to hindsight. I didn't take the time to have a couple of conversations with the people I would have thought would have been interested.
Okay,
And when
so
I
let me.
did later on, and it was months later on, I found out they thought that my goal setting seminar was too generic.
Okay, all
And
right.
yeah,
I want to stop. I want to stop you
so
here because I want
go,
to dive in.
jump
I want
in.
to dive into what you just talked about, and then we're going to go forward because I'm not going to let
Yeah,
you off the hook this easy.
yes, go.
But so what you did is you created this product that you
Hmm.
thought you knew what people wanted.
Yes,
You had a clear idea in your mind of who you thought was going to buy it,
hmm,
and you
absolutely.
never did the research to find out
I
what
did
they
not.
wanted.
I broke the golden rule. And I have been in marketing since the 80s, ladies and gentlemen. And I broke the golden rule. I sat there and said, I know what you want, Lorraine, and I'm going to give it to you. And Lorraine said, no, you don't. You have absolutely no idea what I want. And she was right.
So they came back and they said it was too generic.
Yeah.
They wanted more. What they really wanted was more specifics, things they couldn't get elsewhere.
Yeah. And what's funny is what they told me they wanted was in the seminar, but I didn't tell them that. That's what
Oh,
was really sad about it. I targeted towards the corporate America folks that I was talking to, and I even specifically delved into the middle management folks, which
mhm,
is where
mhm.
I was talking to all the time. So I knew what they wanted effectively, but I didn't communicate that I knew what they wanted in the initial marketing piece. I
Okay.
kind of and here's what I did, and I broke golden rule number 2 is I tried to reach everybody. Right? I was the bullhorn standing at the concert crowd saying, "Come over here, come over here, come over here. You want to see this? This is amazing stuff." And everyone's like, "Who's that idiot over there?" You know what I'm talking about? Whereas if I would have
Absolutely.
taken my bullhorn or actually just sat down and walked up to the individuals whispered into their ear, right? Just quietly said, here's what I know I think you want. And they would be like,
Mhm.
oh, shit, he's right. I do want that.
And
Well, come over
so
this way,
and so
right?
really you had this course that had a lot of things in it for a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of trying to uh well, what you did is you sold the big theme instead of saying, you know what? This section is going to appeal to these people, and
Mm-hmm.
this section might appeal to these people. And I think that is such a classic business mistake,
Yes.
that the fear that somebody might miss out instead of being relevant
Yeah.
for a small group of people who actually will buy from you.
Yeah. I think that's something you really have to learn through experience, right?
Mhm.
Unless you have an amazing mentor that keeps you from tripping over this speed bump of life or of business in this case, it's something you just have to experience mano a mano or
Mhm.
female a mano, whatever it might be.
Whatever the term
But
is.
it's one of those things where it's like you think I need 100 people, and the best way, and I don't know 100 people in this niche, so I'm gonna open the niche up wider because I know I can get 100 people then. And if you're shouting into the crowd, no one's listening.
Mm-mm.
And if they do happen to hear you, like I said, they're going to say, "Who's that idiot? What did he
Mhm.
say? I don't
Mhm.
know. Just pay attention over here." Whereas if you are laser focused and you say, "Hey, middle management of Coca-Cola or Home Depot, do you have problems reaching your quarterly goals? Does your staff not listen to you?" Right? Very specific issues.
Mhm.
And you know that maybe 5 people are going to raise their hand, but damn, those 5 people are going to be raving fans because you're going to solve their problem.
Mhm.
And then they're going to go out and say, man, oh my God, I took this amazing course or this amazing seminar, or I had this amazing coaching session. And they're just going to shout to the world or their peers
Mhm.
about you, your product, your service. And as we all know, that's, marketing gold right there.
But you know what? That when they do that, you kind of hit on it. The first people they're going to talk to are their coworkers,
Mhm.
their peers, and their coworkers and their peers are your audience. It does not matter
Yeah,
that any of those
exactly
other
right.
people out there don't hear about you. And
Hmm.
it's really hard. And as a small business owner, I know I struggled with that a lot. But once I got really comfortable with, you know what? I am really good. I am really good with this specific type of business. Now, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to when you ask me what I do, I'm going to tell you I do marketing for these kind of companies. If you come to me and say, you know what, Lorraine, I'm really not in your niche, but I really like the way you think, you
Sure.
got to check. I'm going to work with you,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to spend any time or money trying to find you.
Right. Because
Yeah,
most of the people that would be not in your niche would be like, yeah, skip. And that's just
absolutely.
wasted marketing funds at that point. Yeah. It's that yelling into the crowd factor. And it's the same thing when it comes to, let's say, creating a course or creating a product, or heck, let's do this, creating a podcast.
Hmm.
Right. And I made this mistake. And again, 5 years ago, I started my most recent podcast in 2020, right before the pandemic really hit. And I wanted to talk to entrepreneurs. Well, that's a big ocean of
Hmm.
people. But as I started going along, I mean, I had a little bit of success. I had enough contacts and I knew enough marketing tricks, he says, that it was okay. But then I niched down to, okay, now I'm going to focus on the online entrepreneurs.
Hmm.
It's a little different, but still a pretty big audience. And most recently, probably about a year ago, I was having some conversations. You feel me on this, right? And it hit me. This little light bulb went off over my head, and it was like the majority of these people I'm talking to were me half a dozen years ago, 10 years ago,
Hmm.
and their parents. And they're
Hmm.
trying to do the cubicle escape, or they're trying to augment their income via some side hustle. Ha, that's now that's this little bitty audience, right?
Mhm.
You know, the crowd goes wild, right? But it's this little bitty audience of folks. I'm talking to moms and dads that are usually pretty hardworking, right?
Mhm.
Usually have a toddler or
Mhm.
maybe preteen,
Mhm.
and they're like, "How do I have enough money at the end of the month,
Mhm.
or to get to the end of the month?"
Mhm.
And they reach out to me or they listen to the podcast and they get some tips, and it's like, "Oh, I could do that."
I can do.
I've gotten more rave reviews from that little
Mhm.
bitty niche audience than all the entrepreneurs in the world. No, yeah,
No, absolutely. And that is the most successful podcasts are the ones that are focused on a niche, the most successful businesses. And that is a great place to kind of wrap this. I'm going to encourage anybody who is listening, if that's you, if you are in that trapped in your cubicle, trying to climb your way out, have a side hustle or thinking about a side hustle, you need to listen to the Dark Horse Entrepreneur podcast. There will be links in the show notes. Tracy, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
thank you for having me aboard. I appreciate the time.
This was fun. And if you've enjoyed this conversation and you'd like to find other resources for your business, be sure to check out morethanafewwords.com. There you'll find more than 1,000 conversations just like this one, workbooks, webinars, white papers, and so much more. This has been another episode of More Than a Few Words. Thanks for listening.